We have now arrived. Now, let's recall what Arthur had told us just before we stopped playing last time. Arthur had said the stolen sculpture was from pedestal C. Whoever stole it looked like us, and whoever stole it looked like he knew what he was doing. Now, if he looked like us, that means that he either was the future version of us that came to recruit us from the past to come and investigate here, or he was an imposter who was somehow mimicking us. And if what the person was doing was stealing an artifact, which is, I think, isn't that what future us was framed as having done? Or he's an evil twin, yes. Doug says there, that's better. Anyway, what we have to do is just look around and see what we can learn, because we don't have enough to go on. If he looked like me, then he can't have looked like he knew what he was doing. Alright, let's look around. We've just come in through this airlock. I don't think we want to leave through here. I don't know if we can leave through there because the pressure isn't equalized. No, there's an airlock here. We can always leave. I have to remind myself of that. Let's float in. We are on a space station orbiting Saturn, by the way, in case you're just catching up with us. I don't know what role gravity plays in this room exactly. Looks like we can walk along this floor. So maybe gravity plays that role. Oops, here we go. Oh, interesting. Yep. Okay, did it say C-section there on the ground? I think this way is the way to C-section.
Well, this is the one. If you touch it, you can see what it's supposed to do. Whatever he did to it only shows up in reaction to a specific harmonic resonance. But why go to all this trouble?
It plays the role of Prospero. That was interesting what Arthur just said. Where are you, Arthur? There you are. If you touch it, you'll see what it's supposed to do. Something about it only doing something in particular if you'd use a certain harmonic resonance. Okay, let's touch it. Is this the sculpture? Okay. Tell us more, Arthur.
These stations are where the neurosynaptic polymer gel is programmed. Sort of where my DNA is coded, I suppose. Each new function is mapped independently into a glob of gel like this by stimulating synaptic pathways with the resonance probes. Each program mass is then introduced to the parent nexus where it's assimilated and becomes part of the wetware. A little like an RNA injection. Dr. Farnstein had set up a studio in the research lab where I could interface with a painting window. It was kind of important to me, things that I couldn't figure out, I just put to canvas. After the accident, I had a lot of things I wanted to work out, and the studio was just gone. I guess one day I sort of hit on the idea of using all of this raw material here. It gave me a lot of flexibility. It's a medium I'm familiar with. My own gray matter. Or green matter, I suppose. I guess I like the irony, too. The artist cannibalizing himself for his art.
I imagine Arthur would be a good Jeopardy contestant. Perhaps even rivaling Watson.
You can call this the maternity ward. This is where I was born. The huge womb in the center is where the neurosynaptic polymer gel that makes up my brain mass is grown. Bringing it are the programming stations. Kinda homey, isn't it?
Aww. We learned a little about Arthur's backstory. All right. And this is another display station for something else. So I think when we looked at this space, yes, temporal anachronism detected within immediate vicinity, use evidence chip to locate it. I guess we better see if there is any evidence here that does not belong in this area of time. Oh, the sculpture itself counts as evidence. Anything else around here? We'll look at that a little more closely in a sec. First, let's just study this thing. Insufficient evidence. Cause of temporal anachronism must be revealed before evidence can be registered. Display stay. What do we got? Only the 3 things that we'd already noticed. Looks like we have enough slots for 6 things of evidence. Is that by design, or is that just a coincidence? Presumably our suit wouldn't know how many things of evidence exist. Huh, so what do we need to do here? Cause of temporal anachronism must be revealed. Display station. Display station. Now I follow. Display station. That's probably what you're getting at. That's the only thing. Let's look over here, or should we look over here? Is this some kind of device that was attached to this thing? Does the other display station have one of these? It does, but we can't look at it. I'm sure you're relieved that I've completely unraveled that, Douglas. What's this then? This looks like some kind of readout. And it has controls. Does our evidence thing react to it? No. What about Arthur? Do you have anything to say?
The harmonic resonance control is used to introduce specific 3-dimensional resonance waves into the biomass. Where the waves converge, the gel is stimulated into opening new patterns of pathways. Without inserting the probes, I suppose the sculpture would just be flooded by the resonance field. There's a chance that it might trigger an embedded response.
Embedded response, eh? Okay, so what can we interact with here? This cursor icon means leave this vantage point. So we don't want that. Looks like we can turn this dial and we can press this, and that's pretty much all. So, what does it say? 74 megahertz, and not sure exactly how you would read that out. Sum of harmonic resonance, something like that? Undefined. Okay, we can select different harmonic resonances, different resonance patterns. 3.5 omega hertz. Is omega like a multiplier prefix? Doug, you would know that, wouldn't you? Sigma rho ETA meters. And then we have 54 omega hertz and delta RFM. How many patterns are there available here? I think we just finally went through all of them. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like 8, including the one that's marked undefined. The sigma has been changed to a delta, yes, that's the idea. Okay, what does the green button do then? Let's try it. Is that the sound of the resonance pattern? Negative response. Oh. We can't use this one at all. And these are nothing. Omega is not an official SI prefix. Okay, let's try this one. Much higher, as you might expect, based on the numbers. And now we have, what is this, 14 terahertz? If this is in our audible hearing range, it might be a bit surprising. Yes, it's probably 1 octave higher than the last one. 3.5 omega hertz. Oh, is that super low? Okay, what about 54 omega hertz? That sounds like C above middle C to me. That sounds like we're just repeating these. Did it? Oh, the delta wave. Is that just a label for a kind of waveform then? Still. Oh wait, it says positive response for this one. I was paying attention. Okay. Should we keep going? It's the 11 kilohertz one that said positive response. I don't know, maybe, yeah. Let's do it anyway. Negative response. And this is the first one again, right? Okay, so which one was it again? 11? 11 kilohertz. I never heard the instrument changing. I don't know about you, but yes. Okay, now can we touch it? Does the last resonance pattern that we activated there affect the sculpture? Ooh, that's different. What the heck?
Okay, well, I guess that does it. You know, for so long I dreamed of getting out of here. But now that I've gotten my wish, it's kind of strange to think that I'll never be able to come back. I'm gonna miss this place. Hold me, Gage.
I don't know if we know each other quite that well. Source of Ripple documented, mission complete. You may leave the time zone at your discretion. Well, that's the first one of those we found. Ever. Do we still need to collect the evidence manually? Or has it been... It was recorded automatically. Doug says, I think that instrument sounded different when it was low, and then as it went higher again, I forgot what it had sounded like before. Lexi, you can be in charge of holding him. Let's see what this evidence says. Electronic schematics inconsistent with technology level of this time period. That would suggest that we've been visited by... What, I mean, why would the sculpture be modified? Does this mean that the doctor who created Arthur did not create this? Was the sculpture modified? Was the sculpture stolen? I thought that was the idea. Okay. Guess there's nothing more for us to collect there. Lexi, you mustn't juggle Arthur. He likes it. Okay, well, we made it in here. We made it through here at long last. Let's jump home. And then we'll see if, I don't know, if Arthur has anything to say. Taking breaks from this game is tough. I wish I didn't have so much of a chance to forget the details that we've been amassing. Okay, Arthur, you have no comments? So what do we do next? This is our home, by the way. It's the home of our future self. We've been transported in here to unravel what has happened to our future self, that he was framed, and what exactly is going on, and so it functions as our home base. I guess we won't need to order a cheese girl ever again. Are you two fighting over custody? These guys are cool. They're the robots that we had to defeat in the first game. And they appear in this game as action figures on Gage's shelf. And remind me, Lexi, what was the main political issue around which it seemed like some, you know, some interested party or stakeholder might be manipulating public opinion using Gage as a scapegoat? It was something about what time travel policy should be or something like that. Lexi, no, I gave Doug custody and am paying a sizable amount in child support. Sharing time travel, right? And let's not forget that on the station did seem to have voices that we were able to translate with our biochip. So I should say, we must go to another time area now. So what are our options? We've got the Chichen Itza Trials Underground, which I'm guessing it's possible we can make some progress there, but oh boy. There's a lot to do down there. And we stand the risk of losing items in the process because we have to give them up. And we have to go back and fetch them from other time periods. We have getting past the gosh darn catapult in the Chateau Gaillard, which I am still just about ready to look up because I do not know, and we've waited for so many hours. And we have the flying machine getting up the wall thing in Da Vinci's lab. Sharing time travel. Humans have it and others do not. Some want the technology and some are fine with humans keeping it. I think that is the main issue, yes. So, what do we go for next? We didn't acquire any items from the station, and now that I think about it, I did not explore the room with the sculpture thoroughly. At least, I don't feel like I did. Lexi thinks we need either a hammer or glue. That's right. We still have this copper medallion, which, I mean, what the heck? Why would we need pure copper? If we actually end up needing a hammer, Gage needs to learn that anything could be a hammer if you swing it hard enough, such as a metal bar. We could have come out here with the other skull as well. Well, look who it is. It is the only one that it could be. Welcome back, Katie. Care for some tea? Maybe to conduct electricity? I think we could just use a grappling hook. And our comrade Celtic Lore is here as well. I wish that JMP4 was made. I heard it was all planned out and just needed to have been made. Yeah, that would have been cool. I imagine it would have been cool. They got so much right in the transition from 2 to 3, but no spoilers about 3. We thank our lucky stars that it's the right one. It is bustling. Off of what, I found a girl named Middle Twix last night, and boy, she remembered her candies better than I. I don't know if I can say that I know what's going on right now. Anyway, Lexi, since you're the strongest proponent of don't look things up unless you have to, I'm going to give you one more chance to help me get by the Chateau Gaillard wall without being hit with a catapult projectile. These are our mission sites, in case anybody is just tuning in. We've solved the Farnstein lab, that's where we just were. Found the necessary evidence from there. We've been going back and forth between all 4 of these lately. You know how it is, you have to sometimes find items in one time zone and use them at another. The trick is, don't walk in front of the flying rock. I try not to, but that doesn't seem to be enough. Katie says, I never know what's going on, I'm just glad to be a part of things. Well, that's very magnanimous. What about running in front of the rock? Excellent idea. Ooh, good idea. Only if you immediately run out of the way, yes. All right. This is exactly the kind of music that would go with a medieval castle from the 1100s, or the early 1200s, I should say. And every time we arrive here, we get this little cinematic sequence. Oh, I forgot to try the translate chip. Yep. I think you would think that about a lot of the music in this series, Doug, especially in the first game, which was probably furthest from kind of finding its bearings. I know you saw the very end of it, but there are a couple of moments I would love to show you. Okay, and since we already picked up the arrow, it doesn't appear here. BL comes after BI. You gotta stop coming here. He only experiences it once. Chamomile tea, once again. If anyone is enjoying a beverage or meal and wishes to report on it, please do. Disappointingly, our balcony key was not of any use. We found this in Da Vinci's lab. It says simple locks and keys of this type were in use until the 20th century, which means that it is entirely possible this key could be usable here in the 1200s, place I'm assuming is France. Does Arthur have a comment on the key or just on this location? Celtic says only from his view he experiences it once. That's right. We experience, his single experience of it multiple times. Lexi says I can't rap. Ingredients, veggies, yes. I'm very fond of vegetable wraps this year.
Sounds locked to me.
That's your comment, Arthur? And you're supposed to avoid using the help except in cases of last resort. Good health to me. Doug, did you forget Arthur? I mean, did you forget Arthur? Does Arthur have comments on any other inventory items? Oh, maybe that was his comment on the door. Probably was, wasn't it? And that's not a lock, right? And I'm just so hoping that it's not something simple like we just can't see exactly where the keyhole is, but we could use this key on it. Alright? But why would Arthur have a help comment for a locked door if you couldn't use the key on it? You know? This door we can open. Could you be overlooking a lever of some kind? You know, it is not impossible. I wonder if he has any comments on the other locked door / doors. Let's just give that a shot, because I'm not sure I've had Arthur up here. Help, this door is locked. It looks like we can't get through. That's right. No more comments here from Arthur. But he does have a help on the locked door. I will try this again, because if we've been missing something, it'll be worth it if we can find it. Alright. Let's take a trip down this side again, just because it's memories. And, you know, maybe we've missed an Arthur comment over here, too. If there's anything that can... Oh, you do have a comment here. Let's hear it.
Ah, see that bridge to the inner bailey? This was the castle's one weakness. Under cover of the bridge, Philip Augustus's men managed to dig under the wall and collapse a section of it in what they called a, let me look it up, a sapping operation.
What was his name for the inner area here? The inner what? And also these flags seem to be flapping rather uniformly. What else do you have to say?
When an attacker would sap a wall of a castle, they would dig a tunnel underneath the foundation supported by a wooden framework. They would then set fire to the wooden beams and the tunnel would collapse under the wall, bringing it down.
I see. I think it was inner bailey. Is that a word that means something? The outer wall of a castle. Goodness gracious. An educational pair of answers. Thank you, too. Katie says, do you guys want a pasta night? I dreamt of garlic bread. Pasta is a delicacy in my mind. Bailey's means alcohol, yes. The proper noun. Also, the one thing that can stop us is barrels. The only point of going here was to get a grappling hook from this toilet. I like the little bits of lore we learned in this trilogy. Arthur was such a brilliant addition to the series. He made it what it should have been. Pizza pasta. Katie, last night you asked about preferred pasta shapes, and I don't recall... Yes, thank you for the transcription, Lexi. I don't recall what yours was. Arthur has told us about these areas before. It's too bad you can't rehear his comments. You can't, can you? No. So, folks who haven't been watching me play, the problem is we can get down to the ground level. Type of noodle, silly, not pasta shape. Oh, that's why the discussion turned to udon and soba. That's right. Now I remember. Okay, so have a look, folks. This roof down here, if we hop down there, we can get to the ground floor. If we hop down this roof, which we have access to right in front of us here, we land on a bed of spikes, and that does not work. The problem with getting to this roof is that we have to take one step forward, and the moment we do that, this wall explodes with a projectile from a catapult, and we also die. However, the first time we visited this area, the wall exploded before we attempted to take the step. In other words, by this point it would already have exploded, and we were safe. And we've spent quite a bit of time doing everything we can think of to trigger this explosion of the wall without having to take this step. But we haven't figured out why it worked the first time and not the other times. Doug, I've already commented on this matter gauge. Pray I do not comment further. Is it because we met the guard and didn't alert him? Well, we did alert the guard once, and he hit us with the mace, and that was also a death scenario. But we've tried since visiting the guard not alerting him, and that didn't seem to help at all. So I just don't know, and this is why I say I've been on the fence about looking this one up. So I think unless anyone else has any input, it is time. So I have tried everything known to my brain. Just in case we do something wrong, I will even save this as 9A. Problem with UHS hints is that they try to sequentially reveal hints to you, but the questions that they ask behind which the answers are placed are sometimes subtle giveaways themselves about tasks that you need to complete that might not have been apparent as tasks. Doug said, can you get through the first moments of this area without interacting with a guard at all? Yes. You saw the staircase we were walking up and down just now? The staircase goes all the way to the bottom, at which point you find a guard guarding another one of a pair of two doors. And he doesn't notice you, but if you spend enough time standing right in front of his back, he'll turn and notice you and kill you. So I can't think of what else. And he, as far as we can tell, he's unrelated to the wall exploding. But it does seem like there might be something that we can do with him. We do have the ability to cloak using a biochip, and that renders us invisible. The problem is that if we're cloaked, we cannot take any action whatsoever. Moving, turning, using items, nothing. Okay, I'll pause and hear Doug's input. I will hear your input, and pray you do not comment further. Are you saying that not being seen at all by the first guard somehow causes you to be required to encounter the second guard? As far as I'm aware, there's only one guard. Sorry if I seem to allude to the idea that there were more than one. Oh. Unless you're counting the guy who got hit by the arrow as a guard, and I was not. Yeah, the guy that we encounter on the way in who gets shot with the arrow always dies, yes. That doesn't change. Alright, I'm proceeding here. Okay. Why am I killed when I try walking along the upper battlement? I think that is... these are the hints we need. And it looks like we can reveal them sequentially. 4 hints. Now that you've been killed, says the hint guide, at least you know the castle is going to be attacked by a catapult. Alright. Click to show another hint. Hint number 2. Maybe if you waited a while, you wouldn't be killed. Okay. Is the idea just to wait? Doug thought we were saying one guard always lives, the other guard always dies. You may only ask them one question. And Katie expresses affection for all who are here. Merci beaucoup, Katie. Okay, hint number 3 is just wait one step in front of the place where you were killed, and after a few seconds the castle will still be attacked, only with you at a safe distance away from the impact. And that, so far, that doesn't seem to be true. Let's view the 4th and final hint. Aha! Vindication. Ready? Here's what the hint guide says. Katie, Steve, I love you. You're writing your own dialogue, Katie. Merci. Exactly, I was reporting. So, here's what it said. If nothing happens, you've probably hit a known bug in the game. Yep. And now, the writer of the hint guide switches to first person. I've heard 2 solutions to fixing it. 1, restore from a location inside the castle, or at least some place other than where you wait for the catapult. You can use the fast movement option to get back to the catapult quickly. Fast movement option? I'm not sure I even know what that is. Or 2, turn around 360 degrees at that same spot. Beyond that, you'll have to call Sanctuary Woods technical support if there's still no attack. Well, okay, fascinating. We've probably tried turning 360, but let's try it again. That seems to do nothing. Yep. I wonder if this known bug was part of the original version of the game then. It seems to have nothing to do with emulation. And we've tried emulating this both on Windows and on the Mac, and it has been a problem in both situations there too. Doug says, Steve, if you call Sanctuary Woods, will you patch them through to your audio? I wonder what Sanctuary Woods is. Might as well leave the game running here, just in case something happens. So I guess that explains why... What if you try looking out at the battles? You'd think. Celtic. I don't know exactly what you mean by that, but, you know, we can look out this way, for example. We can see stuff out here. Don't know where the offending catapult is actually located. This entire thing appears to be a video file, as the noise here would seem to betray. Sanctuary Woods is the name of the team? The studio is just Presto, right? Let's see. Sanctuary Woods. Sanctuary Woods cabinets. Littlewood Sanctuary. I hope it's not like a game-breaking bug, because that would not be good. We've used too much time on this already. Okay, buried in time catapult bug. Let's do some detective work. Some good old internet detective work. Buried in time brought me some SpongeBob SquarePants results. Why am I... No, I'm not doing an image search. Let's see. Let's try Google. I'll switch catapult bug with Gaillard bug. Have you tried Bing? That's a fine question, Katie. If you mean ever, the answer is probably no. Lexi, my brother demands I write the inner machinations of my mind are an enigma. Will you ever satisfy that demand? The answer cannot be known. It's all I could use when I was in China. Bing, eh? Yeah, Bing's great. So I guess this bug causes the catapult only to fire the first time you visit. Sanctuary Woods is out of business. Thank you, Celtic. I'm not surprised. Gosh, that's pretty terrible. You feel like there might be something on maybe in the GOG reviews. I have not found anything else about it. It could be like a firecracker moment. If so, it's, you know, even less graceful, I would say. In which case, I'm not even sure, you know, is it going to be futile to continue playing until we figure out what it's going to take to get through this bug? One reviewer says, this release was plagued with a terrible bug that made saving or restoring your progress impossible on most Vista/7 users' machines. But GOG has since corrected the error, blah blah blah. Just doing a quick search of all the review pages for bug. I'm afraid I'm not finding anything that's helpful. Doug says, here's another problem from this game's history that is not the problem you're facing. When the game was released as part of the Journeyman Project Trilogy box set, Buried in Time was plagued by a manufacturing error that affected many of the box sets. The disc labeled as disc 2 actually contained the data for disc 3, making the game essentially unplayable? You mean there were 2 functional copies of disc 3? Gosh, that's a pretty bad thing to get wrong. Let's see. This is a very good game with an interesting storyline. I have played the first game but never finished due to a bug. Oh, that's the first game. A number of the reviews, by the way, say that this game is the best in the trilogy, which I find kind of mystifying. I played 3 quite some time ago, and that was my only taste of the series, and I think that it is superior to all of this. Although I love the intrigue and complexities of the story and the aforementioned sci-fi writing in Journeyman Project 2. Lexi says, can you do the thing where you restore from another part of the castle? I don't know how that would help, though. Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly what that means. Restore from another part of the castle? Like, do we just save a game here and then restore it? And maybe it reloads some of the data? We have time. We can try it. We're not going to do anything else if we can't do this, I think. So, oh, I did save it as 9A. Let's save it as 9A again. All right. Let's restore just another game from a while ago. That's like maybe even Steve 1. Way back here. Ah, memories. This is a good location. This is when we didn't even know how to collect evidence. It's time travel of a different kind entirely. All right, now back to Steve 9A. All right. Never will an explosion be so welcomed. Yeah, that was a great little loop of music. And something else that baffled us was that Arthur has hints available at this spot. And you can resort to using the help button, so we did eventually resort to it. And he said just nothing helpful, which made it seem like something was a little bit wrong. Oops. That was a mistake. Celtic says, what if you tried jumping back to the start of the age while you're standing there? Oh. That's certainly a question. I don't think I've ever tried jumping to the area that I'm currently in. I think that's what you mean, right, Celtic? Why not? Oh, I always forget to use the translation chip. Next time, don't let me do it without that. Hey, dude. Sorry to bother you. I really do wonder what hello translates to. I don't imagine it's French. One of the other little questions that I glimpsed in the hint guide, other than arrow, other than, you know, why do I get killed when I walk along the parapets, was something like, is there anywhere I can go where I won't get killed? Is another bug that it doesn't let you use the key on the locked door, even though you can? Doug, hello translates to, you will pay for your insolence with your life, mysterious figure. Alright. Nope, won't go forward here. Let's just wait for a minute, because you gotta wait for a minute. Or we can turn 360. Or we can turn 360. Or we can turn 360. Or we can look up and turn 360. Never know what you'll find if you look up and turn 360. Yep. Well, I got nothing else other than that. I'll do another internet search for the bug. Maybe that's why Arthur's help was no use. In the unbugged game, it would stall you enough? Maybe. Can you turn 360 degrees around a different axis? Not that I'm aware of, Doug. Although I would certainly do it if I could. It would probably look a lot like a Terry Gilliam animation. Alright. Chateau Gaillard bug. In quotes. Chateau Gaillard May bug? From Overwatch? Oh my gosh. So the castle is in French, it looks like. At least I'm learning something. The sad secret of Chateau Gaillard. I don't suppose it's a bug. Say perhaps rather quickly along the floor. Let's see, buried in time. I imagine it's going to take some deeper digging than this, folks. I'm very sorry to say. All right. Well, I think that means I'm going to have to go do my research, and we're going to have to stop here for now. How sad. But I'm glad I finally looked it up. I suppose I'll send us to our fellow streamer, Melly, since she's the only one else that I know of who is live at the moment. And she looks like she's playing some Mass Effect. So maybe you can at least chat and redeem yourselves just a little bit. Sorry there's not more, folks. We did get at least an hour in. We made a little bit of progress and saved our game after that. I hope to be back soon with this resolve, but there are no guarantees, unfortunately. It is possible that our friend Dagger Steve is also going to be returning tomorrow. That would be Pacific time, or usually around 2:15. And I'm not even sure if Lexi, you said you could make it this time, so I'm sure he would love to see a new face. He certainly deserves folks joining him on similar kind of things that I do. Similar sort of slow-paced point-and-click adventure games, and he's quite an amusing and congenial fellow. So, thank you again for showing up. My good wishes back to you. I hope to see you soon.